Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah, but I can't talk about what I want to talk about because they just go nuts. Um, I was asked an interesting question the other day, and I've gone through this, so I want to speak about it at length. Proof of God. Proof of God is in a formula called entropy. Uh, Entropy is really a force of true nature. Okay, which means if you leave anything, it wants to naturalize to its least energy state, least amount of organization, least amount of any type of energy level possible. No, I, I Rumble is going to be cut off, and they do censor. Okay, I already have a platform. It costs me money. It's called Odyssey. Odyssey. Oydse. If you guys follow me on that and I get up to 500 followers, I won't have to pay basically $300 to go on to do it live, which I did try to do it today, but I've had problems. It I think it has to do with the fact it's not Mac friendly. So I'm gonna have to. I have two different types of phones. I have an Android phone and I have an iPhone. So I'm gonna try to use the Odyssey app on either and try it that way. Okay. It's blockchain. Blockchain cannot be taken down. Okay. Anyway, getting back to God. What does that mean? It means that if you open a bottle of ammonia in a 20 by 20 room, within 15 seconds, if it's placed on the quarter and you're on the other quarter, you'll smell it. You'll smell it because the highly concentrated ammonia wants to leave into a less concentrated room. Another, you can't get a hold of this, but it's called methyl ethyl ketone. It's a carcinogen. It's also used in photoelectric circuits and electronics. Um, it's so volatile that if you put an eighth inch hole in a gallon of it and you leave it for about 2 hours, the entire gallon will evaporate within 2 hours. Okay. It's so volatile that if you put it onto your hand, like aviation fuel, it'll turn it white. And that's because it literally evaporates the oils on your skin. Okay. Why am I saying this? It takes a lot of energy to concentrate things like ammonia, to make methyl ketone, to make anything, to make anything concentrated. For that plant to grow a tree and concentrate the carbon and derive it from the water and the carbon there make a complex molecule of cellulose and sugars and other things. That's work. It's taking energy from the sun via photosynthesis, which is basically an ion pump, and it's synthesizing molecules and constructing molecules. It's amazing. Okay. And it's fighting gravity. It's fighting because nature wants to take that tree and burn it. It wants to take that tree and crush it. Okay. And you'll get people who say, well, that tree evolved. And I say to them, let's get to the basics. Okay. I won't even talk about how complicated photosynthesis is. I'm going to discuss that. We're going to discuss a simple bacterium and the shaft and the linear drive motor that propels it. That's very similar to how an outboard motor on your boat works, where you have an engine, you have a shaft, and then you have a propeller. We won't even discuss the gearbox in the shaft. That's also another specific machine. Now, you can't evolve a propeller without the shaft and the motor. You can't derive the technology of a motor unless you have the shaft. Any one technology, and we're going to keep it simple, the three systems. If it's missing, the system itself, which contains the three systems, doesn't function. Okay. Thus, impossible for it to be derived out of evolution. Okay. Mathematically, it's not possible. Can't happen. It can happen for one system. But remember that the energy that's consumed in that linear drive motor. By the way, that linear drive motor took us basically 400,000 years of our own intellect to develop. Okay. That's in every single bacterium, and that's what turns that shaft. And then there's a specific curve to that shaft that makes it propel itself, and it can move it and direct it and everything else. Very complex, and that bacterium is only 20,000 genes. Very, very efficient programming language to create that bacterium. Very efficient. Three-dimensional language. Um, so that means there was some serious intellect behind what you're seeing. So everybody says, oh, we're living in a simulation created by aliens. And that's what Elon Musk says. That's what a lot of people, and the physics definitely shows that. And I'm like, well, no, that wasn't created by aliens. It was created by God. And why was it created by God? Well, I know my part of it that he told me when I died. He said this place is a test. And the thing that I noticed that when I was dead, how much more real that death was. The space, everything was incredible. Versus this place is like a dream. And he told me specifically to tell everybody what I saw and to tell them that this is a test. What is the ultimate of the test? I have no idea, except I know this from my own self. There is no better way to learn than by doing. That's why apprenticeship to a master we used to be a tradition, and it's still maintained in artisans and crafts, but there is no substitute for hands-on learning with a master who really knows their way around whatever it is. Okay. And there is no substitution. When I have lectured at colleges, I'll never forget one of the lectures I gave was in a math class, and they specifically, and I repeated something I said to my math teacher back in ninth grade, because he was saying, you need to know calculus to buy the max and min of the volume of a box and all this other kind of stuff, which is true, yes. But what he failed to mention was that everybody knows calculus. You don't understand what you're doing, but you do know it. A grasshopper knows calculus. Okay. Um, at this college, I took almost 8 boards to write out all the equations that were being executed in maybe a millisecond of a grasshopper that was jumping from one flower petal to another to avoid falling to its death where a frog is waiting underneath. Okay. And I didn't even get into how he figured out what the distance was. I was just talking about the instantaneous acceleration that he had to derive to put to his legs in order to make the distance. Okay. That's a derivative velocity of the distance of a time. That's calculus. So a fly that you're trying to swat with its ganglia is doing millions of calculations a second trying to miss your fly swatter from killing it. Amazing. Thus, a technology that he invented, SA3, basically harnesses that methodology that's used in those two animals, insects essentially, in us, to derive that really 1.5 million derivatives a second in order to calculate what the real analog to digital conversion was, um, sound and the digital to analog conversion. It's a thing that I did. Okay. Anyway, as to I look to the photon computer the same way. Okay, you see this green aloe plant, right? It's green. You see it. It's vibrant. No question, it's there. Right? This math, the physical math of light that's making that look green to you. All right. I won't even get into the fact that, yes, we don't all see green as green, but because we've all grown up as somebody pointing to this specific frequency saying this is green, it could look red to you. Again, I won't. There's eye charts that prove this. Okay. The point is that it's consistent. Okay. The math of light is very consistent. A photon computer with entanglements is based on that science, that and also teleportation. So you have a combination of teleportation, entanglements. So there's no limit in the size of the photon computer or the node of it. Essentially, every photon computer is a node of every photon computer. And then there is no interception of communications because, as Einstein said, they are entangled. So thus, it there's no time that it uses, and also it's not cumbered by wires. Right. I'm just seeing this message, by the way. It's amazing. Yeah, I had to do that. Good faith. I'm really sorry about that. I had to do that because it's part of my stipulation. I'm going to get at my Odyssey online. I was intending to go on the air at this specific time to go on Odyssey. It's the same reason why everybody doesn't like vanilla, or they might like vanilla, but it might not be your favorite flavor. Okay. There's not notice color blindness. My friend, by the way, he doesn't see colors. Okay, he sees blues, reds, and greens as different shades of gray. There are people who are colorblind. Okay, there are people